So I used to live out like on the outside, like a little bit around Damascus, and this is one of the first places that when somehow the rebels were there. I mean, I honestly wasn't sure who entered, and I was like, this is the thing with the Syrian war, that you don't really know who's fighting who. We never really did. We've always lived in like this tense dictatorship atmosphere where you don't really talk about religion, you don't talk about politics at all. Our election, basically, you go, a military person enter with you into a cabinet, tell you to sign here, and then leave. Sometimes they even force people to sign in blood just to prove a point. So it's like very democratic, you know. But then Tunis happened and Egypt happened, and people started like, oh wow, this is possible to kind of like have some change, you know. People call it spring. I really call it like a harsh winter, to be honest, because spring is not like this. Spring should not be people dying. Spring is something else. And then this war started, and checkpoints became everywhere, between the checkpoints from the government and the checkpoints from the other people, and then hiding became even more of a struggle. And then I'm hiding with people that I don't know, that if they know that I'm a queer person, they'll probably kill me, because they're like against the entirety of who I am. And then if they found out where I'm from, like, and if they found out that I'm Durzi, they would also kill me. Like, you know, like wars on so many fronts in a way. And somehow it's like, okay, like where, like what to deal with. And this is when we kind of had to leave and get out of there, because they were bombing for 20 days basically. Like the government doesn't, or the military doesn't really target specific places. They just bomb everything, you know, bit by bit. Like they don't really care who dies and who doesn't. So then at the end, we left. We stayed for a few days somewhere else, and then we came back. And there was nothing really to be, let's say, to be back for. And our house was kind of half destroyed. I mean, it wasn't. It was even like a rented place. It wasn't really ours, to be honest. But in a way, it's like shh, 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 hey, and stop, 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 and so yeah, and then we came back. We decided to leave directly, and we left to Jordan. We stayed there for a few years, then went to Turkey. I stayed there until like 2000, almost the end of 2016 also. And then I came to Greece, and applied for asylum. And there somehow like a different process started between my asylum and between living in Europe, and also thinking what Europe is and actually seeing what Europe is, because there's like a big difference. Lilith, come on, come on, hey, stop, stop, stop. So when I came to Greece, it was like the time where, around the time that the refugee crisis started. And I think there was one time that I was I had a panel discussion, and so people were asking us a lot of questions in this panel discussion, and then my friend asked him like, what did you think about, like, you know, LGBTQI in Syria? and there was one guy, like a Greek guy, I will never forget his answer, because it's like, oh, we thought you didn't exist. We didn't know that there are LGBT guy. And I think like there is such a huge entitlement of a white dude to think that LGBTQI is like a European thing. I mean, as the term is, it is, yes. Like, for example, queer, I don't really so much identify with queer. It's not who I am. It's like a term that I use now to like, have discussions or talk about things. Like, I don't want, for example, like, we always, when we have like trans idea or something, like you all look to the US or other places, but like I'm not from there. I guess the question, where are you from, was always complicated with me. And yeah, and like it was always that I pretend to be Muslim in a way, because we didn't want anyone to kind of like I already was raised by a single mother, and which is not an easy thing, and she was quite young because she had me when she was 19 almost, and so our life was already very difficult, uh, because she was like working 3-4 jobs to be able to provide for both of us. And the thing is also, when it's a single mother, people always have the assumptions that like she's a whore, or where is the husband, like how did the child come to this without a marriage, and blah blah blah, and all of this nonsense. And somehow, I mean, to some extent my mom was a whore, which is like, I'm actually quite proud of this. This is one of like the legacy that like she gave me, I guess. And yeah, I mean, in my mom's context, she wouldn't call herself a whore, let's say, but like she would fuck men or have relationship with men, which is based on financial benefits, which I think how relationship with men should be. I guess. No, that's the only thing that I guess they're good for. I think no matter what I do, I will be seen always as a threat, I think like transness in a way is a threat, because I think it's like kind of the beginning of the end of gender, hopefully. I think the hate really comes from honestly jealousy. I think like a big part of it is really jealousy. Like in a way we break out of these norms, and we somehow break free bit by bit. This is why I think like transness is very beautiful, because despite what the whole world say, despite the things that they put us through, despite everything, we still, it's still the choice that we make. There is a sense of freedom that me wearing a dress and walk on the street as a femme person, that somehow they say that like, that this seen as weakness, but I think it's one of the most powerful thing to do, is no matter like despite all the danger that we're in, I still do it every day.